farm. Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law since the day they was born. Straightening the curves, flattening the hills.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the FCH Sourcing Network. Yes, it's the long-anticipated episode 89, everybody, and we're publishing on Monday, January 12th. If you buy, sell, manufacture, or distribute fasteners, this is the podcast for you, and we're glad you joined us. Hey, everybody, Eric Dudas here, and I'm joined by the co-host of Fully Threaded, a real country boy at heart, yet a cosmopolitan world traveler. He's the legendary Brian Musker. Brian, Happy New Year. How are you?
Well, I'm doing fine. See, I'd be doing even better if I didn't see acres of white snow outside, but whatever. We're doing better than last year. This is good.
Yes, and we're, coming up on halfway through it. And
right.
Most Fully Threaded listeners will know that we had to delay the holiday episode, and the delay turned into actually kind of a postponement until this episode, and we do apologize for that. We had some very, very hectic and crazy things happening. We made note of this on our website at fullythreaded.com. Apologize to everybody for that. Hope you had a very, very great holiday season, a Merry Christmas, and a great New Year celebration. And we're back with you now. Seems like forever since we talked with you, folks, and we're just so glad to have you back with us and to be back doing the podcast.
Right. And we're all ready for a great year ahead, so this is the start of it.
Absolutely. And we've got a good lineup for you to kick it all off. Now, just to let you know, these are segments that we recorded originally for the holiday episode. I don't think they're too dated. I think they have some really good information on them. During our first segment, we're going to be speaking with Jim Barr of ND Industries. He is the Vice President of Business Development for ND Industries. And, of course, they're huge supporters of the Fastener Training Institute. He'll chat with us briefly. He's got some announcements of new products for ND Industries, and I think most people will find that a pretty interesting segment. Our feature segment today is a conversation with industry pundit Rob Lucas. He has not made an appearance on Fully Threaded for a while, and he's going to be speaking on some very relevant topics, I think, also. And during the Fastener News Report, we've got a variety of headlines, a lot of you know, but we'll try to bring you up to speed before we bring Mike on with those headlines. And he also will be talking with Paul Tiffany, president of the NFDA.
Right.
That in connection, of course, with the Fastener Distributor Index. We're going to bring everyone up to speed on that. We've also got the latest numbers on the FDI. So a lot of stuff to cram in today, Bri.
Yeah, I know.
And we've also got a growing list of sponsors, which is good news for 2015. Bodes well. And what's the lineup on this episode?
Well, yeah, you're right, actually. And we're really lucky. The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Stellfast and Trinity Hardware Headquarters. Stellfast, for service you deserve and people you trust. And Trinity Hardware Headquarters, for parts done right. Also sponsoring Fully Threaded Radio are Buckeye Fasteners, Fault Industrial Plastics, Fastenal, and Sequel Software, ND Industries, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man. So we're very pleased to be associated with such a great group of companies, and if you're in doubt as to who to buy from, support these companies first, okay?
Excellent advice to kick off the new year, Bri. Thanks, everyone, again, for listening in. You can get with us anytime. We'd be happy to hear your comments, your feedback, your suggestions. The email address, ftr@fullythreaded.com. You can also see our occasional tweets out there on Twitter under the handle Fully Threaded.
That's very occasional from me, I might say, but more frequent from Eric, okay?
Thanks for reminding us. Well, country boys really aren't into Twitter. And we'll be announcing a couple of new sponsors when we come back from the break, including a really fantastic new title sponsor. And we're just tickled to death about that. But for now, we'll be right back faster than Roscoe P. Coltrane could wreck a police cruiser. And we'll talk to you right after this.
Right.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stelfast. Since 1976, Stelfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stelfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stelfast today through our website at www.stelfast.com and put us to work for you. Stelfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
Looking for package fasteners of all kinds? How about specials or unique parts that no one seems to carry? At Trinity Hardware Headquarters, we believe in parts done right, and our new catalogue is available online at trinityhardwarehq.com, featuring over 30,000 different types of fasteners available in package quantities, product kits, and assortments, including hundreds of hard-to-find parts as well as the most popular inch and metric sizes. Trinity Hardware Headquarters has locations throughout the Midwest and South, and over 400,000 square feet of warehouse space with 18 million pounds of fasteners ready to fill your requirements. Our featured products include number 3 and number 7 head plough bolts, grade 5 and grade 8 carriage bolts, hook bolts, tap bolts, and nuts and washers of all kinds, plus much more. Visit our website at www.trinityhardwarehq.com or give Trinity Hardware Headquarters a call at 888-232-1010. Trinity Hardware Headquarters, for parts done right.
First, there was fire, and man said, "Fire good." Then there was the wheel, and man said, "Wheel good." With the invention of the wheel came the need for fasteners, and man loudly exclaimed, "Buckeye good." Buckeye Fasteners, providing quality products since the dawn of man. The preceding message was brought to you by Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company, proud fastener show sponsors of Old Rusty Bolt Beer, official beer of the Traveling Salesman. Tell 'em Grog sent you. Ugh.
Harry, how's your search for new software going?
We've looked at a lot of systems, some with the same old technology, and others didn't seem like they knew much about what we did or needed. We did look at one company, crazy name though, I think it was InSqueakWell.
You mean INXSQL? That's InSQL. That's what we use. We've become much more efficient, and we've been able to offer our customers more services, which makes us more competitive.
Yeah, Inkswell, that's the one. They seem to be the only company that really understood what fastener distributors do for a living, and I found it easy to use.
Harry, it's InSQL, INXSQL. You don't pronounce the X. We buy a lot from several master distributors, and their direct connect simplifies the whole process. When we need pricing and availability quickly, we just hit the F12 key.
If you don't pronounce the X, why put it in there? A friend told me they get great support from NXQL.
Yes, with InSQL, our experience has been the same. Quality support. They know our business. And the best part is, no extra charges. With our old system, apparently nothing we called about was covered by support.
You know, Inkwell seems to be the right company for us.
They're called InSQL, INXSQL. Go to their website, www.inSQL.com, inxsql.com, or call them at 877-446-9775.
Hi, this is Lou from the Olander Company, serving Silicon Valley for the past 50 years. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric back with you. Just two good old Fastener boys.
I cannot imagine how you still remember the names of those people, okay? I mean, we had that in New Zealand too, but God, I forgot their names years ago.
Oh, from the Dukes of Hazzard, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent a little too much of my youth watching that show, and I guess that explains a lot. But, hey, folks, we'll explain a little bit more why this is even a sub-theme of the show today, but it was, I think, kind of relevant to what's going on here at FCH and Fully Threaded. I'll give you a hint, though, and that is that we have a new FTR FCH headquarters East. It used to be, Brian, you were FTR East, and now I'm FTR East.
Right. Significant step east, actually.
Yes. Now, during some of the tumult over the holidays, some of you might have tried to contact FCH at our 877 number, our toll-free number, and found that it was flat, and there was no voicemail or anything, and indeed, we had quite a problem with that. But good news, we're back online, so if you try and contact us at 877-332-7836, you should get either one of us or our lovely and talented Lynn Dempsey on our answering machine, and we'll get right back with you for service. But, yeah, I tell you, it was just crazy. I mean, we had all this traveling going on. We had a move happening. We had some new technology that didn't live up to expectations.
Right.
You know, then on top of it, there was a little bit of screwbola going around, and I tell you, we just had to bail on the episode, and that's what we had to do. So that's about as far as we're going to get into that, folks. But again, we're back with episode 89. Glad to have you aboard.
Yes.
And all the better to bring better coverage in 2015. We intend to boost the podcast this year and make some improvements. And we'll be doing that with the assistance and support of two new partnerships that we're very pleased to announce. The first is our newest title sponsor of the podcast, and that is Lindstrom Metric and their family of companies and their new sister company, Titan, and the Worth Group. Both of these companies will be supporting FTR during the coming year, and will also be bringing them into the FCH sourcing network family of resources, namely the FCH Quote Scrubber system. And that has been doing just dynamite work, Brian. Good job on that. I mean, every time I turn around, I'm hearing another positive report.
Well, yeah, the one thing I did manage to do was, there's an old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, which you would not say if you're in part of the empire, but said here. And I kept thinking of ways I could make it actually much better, and I finally set to over Christmas to actually rewrite most of the controlling logic of the scrubber, which is what I did. And it's sort of sped it up, about doubled its speed, and it's made it a lot more accurate in many places. So it's good, okay? And it's just as well because it's had a lot of use lately.
Yes, and that's going to continue to grow because part of the FCH Sourcing Network family of services will include the FCH Quote Scrubber, and we're going to make that available on its own independent website. We've been threatening to do this for about the last 4 or 5 months, and basically at this point have just been held up with the marketing materials. All the technical aspects of it are in place. So stay tuned, folks. Soon it's going to be available to FCH members as part of your membership, and also to the rest of the industry on an ad hoc basis. So that's very exciting for 2015.
Right. And another of the things holding that up is we had to actually put in place a brand new credit card charging system, which we've also implemented over the holidays. So there's been quite a lot of work going on behind the scenes, actually.
Yeah, too much.
You could say. This is usually the quiet time, and for us it's been the most hectic time of the year.
That's right. So Lindstrom Metric and the Worth Group will be coming on. We're just tickled about that. And last episode, we announced another new partner, and that is InSequel Software. And, of course, they're ERP vendors for the fastener industry. And if you take a look at the latest Link magazine, you can see that online. And if you don't have the hard copy in front of you, but they have a very good website for Link Magazine online. And you'll see Bob Reynolds, president of InSequel Software, along with a group of company reps, all of who are jumping on his Direct Connect system, which ties in with InSequel, and which is just a fantastic inventory location resource for InSequel users. Now, this is a great cover story, and you got to get out there and read it. If you're not an InSequel user, you might consider becoming one. Another interesting aspect about the Direct Connect system is that it's connection or possible connection with the FCH scrubber system. And Bri, you can explain probably during a dedicated segment, which we have to have coming up, a little bit more about the scrubber, because a lot of people don't really get what it does, what it adds to systems like Direct Connect, but it really is a lot of firepower behind that whole system, isn't it?
Right. And even as it's implemented, or even it was first implemented in InSequel, I mean, it just makes it easier. And we realized it was a really smart thing if you could search for inventory through FCH without having to actually, fill in all the drop downs. And so it really works by looking at the description of an item you have in front of you and then searching FCH for it. So they don't have to do anything other than push a button. And, that's, if it didn't work, we wouldn't have anything online, because that's basically how every one of our 1.1 million lines is got there. It's because the scrubber looked at it and worked out what it was.
Very cool technology. By now, everybody, you might be getting the idea that we are the people who bring you FCH, the FCH Fastener Sourcing Network. The location of that online is www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. It's a great resource. If you're not familiar with it, get out there anytime you're looking for a hard-to-find part, or if maybe your parts are sitting on the water somewhere on the West Coast and you need it and you're in a pinch. But it's free to use to locate fasteners, and you get direct with the distributor who lists it with us. If you're looking to move inventory, if you want to make your phone ring, if you want to get some new connections, get with us also on that front. We'd be thrilled to talk to you, and we'd be thrilled to set you up with a membership. Takes only moments, and it'll be well worth your while. We'll make your phone ring.
And it also puts your name out in front of the thousands of people who are using FCH every single day and searching and looking at the names of the companies that come up. So there's a great marketing tool, even if you use it for that purpose alone, and some of our companies do, incidentally.
That's correct. So start 2015 off, get hooked up with FCH.
Yeah, get one step closer to the 21st century. That's right, we're in it already.
Most fastener companies are.
Right. We've got room for more, though, so there's always room for more.
Well, it was great to see so many of you in person at the various association Christmas parties last month. And, of course, there are numerous events coming up in 2015 where we'll get to meet with you in person again, including the NFDA winter meeting in February. That's happening this time in Charleston, South Carolina, for those of you interested in that. And I know the NFDA is opening its arms to non-members to bring you into the organization. They're always looking to expand. The website for that is nfda-fastener.org. Get more information on the NFDA and the winter meeting. Then, on May 14th, the NCFA, that's the North Coast Fastener Association, is holding its Distributor Social. And this is happening in Independence, Ohio, right outside of Cleveland. I think, Bri, this is either the 6th or 7th annual social, and it's well worth the drive, folks, even if you're coming in from the Chicago area or regions east of the Mistake by the Lake. Details for the NCFA Distributor Social are available online at ncfaonline.com.
Right. I've not made it to that one. It's a little bit too cold for me, okay? But I know that everyone has a lot of fun there.
Oh, Bri, last year I think it was like 85 degrees. We were all hanging out on the mezzanine. It was beautiful. You should have come out.
Oh, well, I came out later.
You did, in fact. You did. And you'll be spending a lot more time in Ohio, as we'll discuss later. But another event that everyone has to keep their eye open for, folks, and this is the big daddy of the season, at least until October rolls around, is Fastener Tech 15 known as the All Fastener Industry event in the heart of the fastener industry. This will be the 5th staging of this biennial event. By the way, Bri, you know the difference between biennial and biannual? I think a lot of people...
One's every 2 years and one's every half year.
Yeah, but which is which? Well, answer biennial is every other year.
Yeah.
Which is what Fastener Tech is. So if you haven't arranged for your booth space yet, sales are going on right now, and you should do that soon. Get a prime location. The event this year is happening June 8th through the 10th in Chicago. Well, it's Rosemont, actually, but right outside of Chicago. This year they've added several educational events and a shotgun golf outing. They've also included a technology pavilion, which looks pretty interesting. Not sure if any 3D stuff will be there, but I definitely push for that, Bri.
Okay, I could spend an hour or so there.
We're going to have to get some folks on from the either from the NAMI group or somebody else who's into the 3D. I know a lot of companies are hopping on, and a lot of them are just toying around with it. But we haven't talked about 3D a lot lately, and I think it's time we update everybody because there have been some big advances in the last year.
Right, and there's I think also I read in the Tribune that there's another group being put together in Chicago to specialize in 3D printing and also in bringing the local industry into that knowledge too. Okay, a little bit the same as NAMI, but over here.
Now, is this a governmental thing or is this a private thing?
No, I believe this is mainly private sponsored and some government, but much less. NAMI's mainly government, I think, but one in Chicago is largely private sponsored.
Cool. Now, for those of you heading out to Fastener Tech, and if you're a Cubs fan, I'm sorry to tell you that they're going to be out of town. I looked it up. Unless you stay through the 11th, which is Thursday, and at that point they'll be starting a 4-game series with the Reds. Now, if you're a White Sox fan, what I suggest is you call Rich Cavoto and maybe he can give you some info on that because, sorry, I don't go to the White Sox website. But in any case, get with Tom Hutchinson or Nancy Rich, and you can contact them for your booth info or additional info on Fastener Tech 15. You can go to www.fastenertech.com.
Right, it's a big affair, and it's and a very important one for the whole of this area. And it could even be, maybe, that Eric and I might be at this one. It's hard to know.
I think we're going to make this one, Bri. Last year we missed it. Of course, last year was the tabletop. Being the biennial event that it is, we try to make the big ones.
Right.
Hey, everybody, in a press release from the Fastener Training Institute, which is also available at the fastenertech.com website, the schedule for their new webinar series has been announced, and it appears to cover the gambit from beginning to advanced material, so there's something in it for everybody in the industry. And by the way, we'll be resuming with the Fastener Training Minute with Carmen Vertullo on episode 90 of Fully Threaded. But you can access the schedule of events for the Fastener Training Institute anytime online, and that can be found at www.fastenertraining.org/events.
Right, and this has been a while in the preparation, but been sort of pretty eagerly awaited because it's a means of being able to get the same high quality of training without necessarily having to go away for a week. So we are very much in favour of this whole idea of web-based training. So if you have comments, let us know. I'd love to know, okay?
Correct. This can only go to good places.
Yeah.
So, Bri, that's what's going on coming up with the Fastener Training Institute.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Always something interesting.
Yeah.
And, of course, that's been a theme that's been growing and growing, and we keep repeating that on the show here. And Fully Threaded, we fully support fastener training. And lately we've developed a partnership and a friendship with ND Industries. They've been supporting the Fastener Training Institute, and we're lucky enough right now to be joined by a gentleman from ND Industries. His name is Jim Barr. He is the VP of New Business Development. Jim, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure. See, we know about you because Eric wears an ND Industries hat and has done for ages fishing. That's why I know a lot about ND, okay?
That's true. It's actually
Okay.
my lucky muskie fishing hat.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, very lucky. It's a real pain in the neck.
Yeah, well, I've caught quite a few big fish wearing that hat, which I picked up at one of the trade shows a few years back. But as I understand it, Jim, we were talking earlier, and you actually have been involved in fastener training yourself.
Yes, I have. We put on quite a few seminars as far as training engineers and other people with regards to the fastener industry and why you use a fastener and what's critical for a fastener and making sure you achieve the proper clamp load through tightening torque sequences. And we've put a lot of emphasis behind our product line in both the pre-applied and our user-applied products to be able to achieve proper clamp load with our products.
Especially in your industry, you really have to be very, very careful to make sure that the users really understand the instructions and how to do something pretty well, because, you know, you can, with a bolt or something, you can tighten it up and basically it's going to work. But if you don't really install some of these adhesives or apply them correctly, then even no matter how good the thing is, it isn't going to stick properly, is it?
That's correct. Yeah. No matter how good our product is, if you're not using the fastener properly or tightening it correctly, you could have durability problems with your assembly. So it's critical to train people in the proper tightening techniques.
Okay, so that's one of the sort of reasons behind the scenes why ND is pretty much committed to training not only for your own products but actually for the whole fastener industry as well, really.
For the whole fastener industry, the more people know, the better off the whole industry is.
Right. Yes, that's been the Fasteners Clearinghouse's view for a long time. Okay.
Yeah, that's why we like partnering up with you guys, because that's you put a big emphasis behind that also.
Well, it's definitely gaining some momentum in the industry, as I said earlier, and it's a great thing to have you guys on board, and your product among many are products that need training. I mean, let's just face it, it's just not something that's widely available out there, so it's great to see. Now, you're with ND Industries. We've noted that. What's going on with you guys? What are the new products? What's exciting happening at ND?
Yeah, we have just added a whole line in a Vibratight line with our MMA structural adhesives that are good for bonding a wide range of plastics and aluminum components, as well as other metal components. So it's a brand new product line for us, and have just recently launched it, and have had great success so far with the products.
So you've got to start another whole training scheme with that now too.
Oh yes, yeah. We will start a whole new program on how to use these MMA structural adhesives properly and correctly, and train our customer base on the proper ways to use this.
So what separates this type of adhesive from other ones? I mean, for someone like me who just talks about, Loctite, or not necessarily Loctite, but say super glue is my only thing I would know about. What separates these special ones?
Yeah, these are much more very durable. They have a lot of flexibility, and they will give you structural strength. In fact, we have a couple brand new applications where a customer was welding aluminum components together, and now we have replaced the aluminum welding techniques with adhesive bonding, and bonding them with these MMAs, and have gone through the life cycle and durability testing, and they, in some cases, they come out better than the welding application.
Yeah, well, as someone who has a car which is totally glued together, okay, I'm very familiar with the benefits of adhesives.
As well as the pitfalls.
Yeah. I haven't had the pitfalls yet. Pitfalls have been the electrics rather than the car.
Yeah. Well, that's an English car for you. Well, that's interesting. We're going to be keeping our eyes open for that. And, of course, ND will be appearing, hopefully, on a regular basis, keeping us advised on developments with that new product line. And hopefully you're going to come up with an even luckier fishing hat one of these days, and Brian will get a hold of one of them. And, although on the other hand, maybe I shouldn't be saying that because it's worked so well for me. So,
yeah, you might have competition then.
I know. Yeah, God forbid we did that. We had that.
Hey, Jim Barr, how do people get a hold of you at ND Industries?
They can contact us through info@ndindustries.com. And if you ask for me, it will get passed on to me, and I will answer any questions regarding either threaded fasteners and adhesives regarding thread locking, or our new line of MMA structural adhesives.
Outstanding. And I should have looked this up, but just so I don't make a mistake, the website is
www.ndindustries.com.
What could be easier?
Much easier than having to type fastenersclearinghouse.com and missing the S out, okay?
Yeah.
You always got to bring that up, don't you, Brian?
Right.
Well, Jim Barr, ND Industries, you are the Vice President of New Business Development. We sure do appreciate you joining us, and we sure do appreciate you supporting fastener education. I think the entire industry is appreciative as well, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Well, thank you very much for having me on. It's been my pleasure.
And we'll be right back with more Fully Threaded Radio.
2 men, 1 server, a fastener dog, and a stunning lack of more lucrative alternatives. It's Fully Threaded Radio.
ND Industries has been solving customers' toughest problems through innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service since 1955. A family-owned business, ND Industries manufactures and applies fastener locking, bonding, sealing, masking, and assembling products. Their pre-application process makes fasteners ready to use at the point of assembly, resulting in reduced labor costs, time savings, and superior quality assurance. As a fully integrated company, ND handles all aspects of operations, from formulating custom chemical compounds and coating fasteners to providing inline inspection, packaging, and delivery services. ND Industries serves the global market with 13 divisions in the continental U.S. and also facilities in Taiwan, China, and Turkey. Learn more about ND Industries at our website at www.ndindustries.com. ND Industries, innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service. Contact ND today.
Mick Jagger once said, "You can't always get what you want." Well, that's just not the case with Trinity Hardware Headquarters. You can get what you want, and you can get it fast. With over 30,000 varieties of fasteners and new lines of package clamps, carriage bolts, and plow bolts, you've entered fastener paradise. Trinity Hardware Headquarters also provides a long list of services to complete your fastener experience. New services such as custom packaging, kitting and polybagging, mill shipments, hold and release in pallet or quarter keg shipments make Trinity Hardware Headquarters your one-stop shopping destination. They also offer secondary services such as patching, machining, drilling, coatings and platings, and parts to print or industry standards. You know, Mick also complained about not getting any satisfaction. He just hasn't yet come to Trinity Hardware Headquarters. And don't forget, you can order 24/7 online from TrinityHardwareHQ.com or call 888-232-1010 anytime. Trinity Hardware Headquarters for parts done right.
Hi everyone, it's Brian Musker. If you're listening to Fully Threaded, then you're no doubt aware of the FCH sourcing network found at fastenersclearinghouse.com. You've probably also heard about our legendary scrubber software that makes listing your inventory on FCH a snap. But have you heard about the new FCH SmartLink interface? With SmartLink, users of Business Edge, InSequel, and Distribution One have a new weapon in the war against excess inventory, because each of these platforms now links directly to the FCH scrubber system through an automated interface. The best part is that this new tool is available at no additional charge to FCH members who use Business Edge, InSequel, or Distribution One. With SmartLink, you can keep your inventory listings up to date with the click of a button, so it's a win-win for all FCH users. The new FCH FastLink interface is really big news, and we'll be thrilled to have your company using it. Business Edge, InSequel, and Distribution One users should contact their software provider for details, or just call me, Brian Musker. You can reach me through the FCH website at www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. That's fasteners with an S, and the S is for scrubber.
I don't have time to look for the best price for a socket head cap screw zinc plated with a patch.
Solution Man can. Let me handle all of your secondary processes, and I'll even ship the finished product. One price, one purchase order, one invoice, and one shipment equals one solution. Visit the Solution Industries website for details at solutionind.com.
Solution Man, you're my primary source for secondary processes.
Good one.
Hi, this is Aaron Shushan with Specialty Sales. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Well, Brian, it looks like this last week was the first week that everybody was really back hard at work in the fastener industry, and FCH certainly was jamming along. The hits and the searches were going crazy.
Yes, actually, it was true to say that over the Christmas period things were pretty slow, but it's, it all came back with a big bounce, and so for us that's good, and our servers and things are all ready for that. I mean, we have a lot of firepower hiding behind the scenes.
Yes, we do. Check it out for yourself, everybody, at fastenersclearinghouse.com. I also noticed the traveling salesman got back to work. He took a little hiatus, and he kicked off the new year with some kind of big stories. And these will not be covered on the Fastener News Report because, as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, we recorded this a couple of weeks back. But these are important stories. You can read more about this at all the typical places. I read something on Industrial Distribution Magazine's website and elsewhere, fastenertech.com. But Traveling Salesman's latest post deals with the big news from Annixter and from Cardinal Fastener. Now, on the Cardinal side, they announced, actually, they're owned by the Worth Group. Most folks know by now. Cardinal began operations in 1983. Worth picked them up in 2011. Well, all their assets are going to be transferred over to Doka within the next 3 to 4 months. Doka also in the same genre of the industry and also owned by the Worth Group. Right. So that just came out, and I don't know. I don't think a lot of people were super surprised, but I don't think a lot of people in the Cleveland area are particularly happy. I'm sure the close down will, it's not going to help.
Mr. Obama's probably not very happy either.
Yeah, that's kind of a lingering bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. But anyway, it's going in the same direction as a lot of those programs seem to have gone, right?
Yeah, right.
So on the Annixter front, and this is from Traveling Salesman's latest post, he quotes the Financial Times of London, who said, quote, "The sale of the Fasteners division," and that's of Annixter, "which produces nuts, bolts, and adhesives, is likely to fetch more than $500 million, with final bids due later this month." And of course, Traveling Salesman was a little incredulous at that figure. Personally, I don't have a good feel for the value of this thing, but Annixter is definitely spinning off that fastener unit.
Okay. Well, we've dealt with them for many years, actually.
Yes, we have. I think they are the one company in the Fasteners Clearinghouse database that has actual Gatling gun parts still listed.
Yeah. So we challenge you to find them, okay?
Or maybe somebody picked them up already. I haven't looked for a couple of years. I remember that, I don't know how long ago.
Right. They were pins, actually. Could have been firing pins even. They won't be listed quite like that.
Hey, everybody. The Fastener News Report is coming up in just a few moments. And this time, as we said, we're a little bit dated due to the problems we had with our December podcast, but this edition is still a very good one, and I know you're going to enjoy it. But just before we jump into that, a quick word of congratulations to a couple of good friends of ours. Mr. Jim Sullivan of Chicago Hardware and Fixture just announced his retirement after 37 years with that company.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, his last day's coming up pretty soon, and we just like to say congratulations, Jim. That's quite an achievement to stick with one company that long. It says a lot about the kind of guy you are. Also, we mentioned on our last episode that our great buddy, Mr. John Butler, was out there hunting, drumming up some new prospects. You might recall John picked up and left the Midwest with his family, and he is pleased to say that he is now a sales manager out west with the Olander Company. Congratulations, John.
Yes, that's true. Look forward to catching up in your new capacity sometime in the very near future, John.
Yes, and I actually spoke with him this week because he is now going to be the FDI representative for that company. And the FDI, of course, is the Fastener Distributor Index.
Good.
Mike McNulty will be discussing this in more detail on the Fastener News Report. But we just want to say that we're getting a lot organized. We had a transition from BB&T Capital Markets. Of course, the NFDA jumped in to support us on that transition. It's taken a couple of months to kind of get everybody used to the new system, but numbers are coming out. You may remember that the October number, the seasonally adjusted number, was 57, which was darn good. Well, we have the November number to announce for you, and it is 60.1, also seasonally adjusted. So November seemed to be a pretty strong month for most of our reporting companies, Bri.
Yes. It was sort of okay as far as FCH was concerned. It was in the same pattern of last year, actually, the same of November. It wasn't stellar, but I think that number indicates, truly the view and hope of the industry rather than drill downs on FCH. It's usually a pretty close tie-in, actually.
Well, and don't forget, that's part of what seasonal adjustment is, and the index is also partly meant to reflect industry sentiment. So part of it is objective, part of it is subjective, and that formula that they've developed tries to reflect this number. So we're working on the December numbers now. They won't be ready in time to podcast for this episode, but we'll have them for you on our next episode, and hopefully at that point we'll be all back in sync.
And that will be a great relief for us and for you, okay?
We're working with the new analyst team, along with the support of Paul Tiffany and Vicki Lester of the NFDA, which we appreciate very much. We also appreciate the support of Volt Industrial Plastics on the forthcoming Fastener News Report, and of course, our title sponsors, Stelfast, Trinity Hardware Headquarters, and our newest title sponsor, as announced earlier, Lindstrom Metric. Thanks all. And thank you all for listening. Now, let's hand it off to Mike McNulty with the Fastener News Report.
All right.
Thanks, Eric and Brian. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report, which is sponsored today by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. Here in Ohio, the snow has been flying, gasoline prices have been sinking, retailers have been screaming, and Johnny Manziel has been playing some NFL football. But I am still focused on fasteners and ready to deliver the final Fastener News Report of 2014. In today's report, we're going to catch up on 4 months of results of the Fastener Distributor Index, also known as the FDI. Also in today's broadcast, we have newsmaker headlines from Fastenal, Falcon Fastening Solutions, Sherrick's Fastening Solutions, Bassard Group, Aerospace Southwest, HD Supply, and the Home Depot. On the back page, we're going to discuss the outlook for 2015 and beyond. We will get to all of that and the FDI numbers right after this.
Whether you need a small or large number of fasteners, there is no reason why you should have to sacrifice quality or service for that matter. Volt Industrial Plastics takes great care with each and every order to ensure you receive a quality fastener in a timely and affordable manner. Our state-of-the-art production equipment allows us to produce any quantity you request quickly and efficiently. And with same-day shipping on nearly 1 million in-stock fasteners, we carry an inventory so you don't have to. Visit us online at voltplastics.com to find out more about our quality American-made products. Volt Industrial Plastics, manufacturer of the finest plastic fasteners in the world.
What can I get you, young fella? An ice-cold sarsaparilla? Something stronger like a beer from the tap? Maybe something even stronger like some blended whiskey.
Those sound like interesting choices, but I'll have an old rusty bolt.
You ain't from around here, are you, young fella?
No, sir. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio? Every time we sold old rusty bolt, the fight would break out because we couldn't keep enough in stock. I don't want to have to keep fixing this place up.
But I've traveled a great distance, and I've had my taste buds set on an old rusty bolt.
I might have one tucked away in the bottom of the cooler. Yep, here it is.
Hey, he's got an old rusty bolt. Let's get him!
I warned you.
Old Rusty Bolt beer causing civil unrest since the 1800s. The preceding message was brought to you by Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company, proud fastener show sponsors of Old Rusty Bolt beer, official beer of the traveling salesman.
In this economy, I need to cut cost and freight, or I'll lose my customer.
Solution Man, Ken. The more you order, the more you'll save. With free freight on orders over $1,000. See the Solution Industries website for details at solutionind.com.
Solution Man, you're my fastener hero.
Just doing my job, ma'am.
Back to the Fastener News Report with Mike McNulty.
After a reporting hiatus since last June, we have 4 months of FDI numbers to report, and they are positive. After sluggishly hanging around the 50-point level for the first half of 2014, the Fastener Distributor Index surged above the midpoint level in July, August, September, and October, recording composite FDI numbers of 62, 51, 59, and 57 respectively. This averages out to 57 versus an average of 52 for the first 6 months of 2014, a substantial increase. Fastener Distributor Index data is collected and analyzed by the FCH Sourcing Network and the National Fastener Distributors Association, and it seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener distribution industry. To get more details on these positive numbers and the NFDA's involvement in producing the FDI, we talked to NFDA President Paul Tiffany of Copper State Bolt and Nut. Hi, Paul. Thanks for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
Good morning, Mike, and thank you.
Now, before we talk about these FDI results, can you tell us about a little bit about the NFDA for those who don't know about it and its involvement with the Fastener Distributor Index?
Well, the NFDA is the National Fastener Distributors Association. We represent about 160 members, North American associates and distributors. In terms of the Fastener Clearinghouse representation, it is really exciting for us to be a partner with this. The information and the trends that the Fastener Distributors Index, it really falls in line with some of the other things that we provide our members. We currently provide things like the profit and compensation surveys. We provide an economic outlook. So a distributor index just falls in line with that trend.
Different services you report to your members.
That is correct. It'll be an interesting when we move the information gathering over to our members. Hopefully, we're going to increase the data set that's being involved, but also get a really good distribution of a national presence.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for me to hear about your involvement. I was pleased when Eric told me that you guys were going to get involved with the Fastener Distributor Index because it just seems like a good match for everybody all the way around. It should expand the participation in it as well as get some better data.
Well, we also want to make certain that we're providing value to our members and value to the industry as a whole, and I think this just fits into what we're trying to do for the industry.
Good. Well, now we have some more data to look at, and we've got several months of positive results. If you look into the details, the numbers say that sales and employment are growing for sure in the distribution sector, and that pricing has been higher. What do you make of this data, or do you concur with this in your day-to-day experience?
I don't want to speak on personally about Copper State, but as an industry as a whole, I just attended our executive retreat, and everything that is being discussed on a peer-to-peer level seems to be falling in line with the numbers from July, August, September, October. So it validates that the information is correct. It'll be interesting as the data set increases to see what happens to the numbers and maybe provide a regional information. But speaking with my peers, the information does seem accurate.
Yeah, I would say, that's my take too. I mean, I don't buy or sell fasteners, but, talking to people that do and going to the Las Vegas show, you definitely had in October, definitely seems to me that the industry is on solid ground right now.
It is on solid ground. It is trending the right way. You will see a little bit of change in the trend for November, December being the holiday season.
Right.
But I believe the word out on the street is most distributors are extremely happy with where the market is today.
That's good. Now, in the past, our previous analysis of these results, we'd compare them to the PMI numbers and the BMI. And those are the Purchasing Managers Index and the Metalworking Business Index. And so I went back and looked at those as well, and I looked at the broader-based PMI results, and I saw some similar but less dramatic increase versus the FDI. For example, the PMI average for the January through June in 2014 was 54, and over the last 4 months, or the 4 months of July and October that we're looking at, it averaged 57. So it's an increase over the first 6 months. It's not as dramatic as the FDI increase, but it mirrors that increase. And the PMI gets surveys from 400 different purchasing managers, so it's a much broader index. So that kind of makes sense to me that it's showing the same positive increment, but not as dramatic. It's a little bit more muted because it's over a broader sector.
Right. Well, I can tell you the benefits of this is it is fastener distributor specific, and the fastener distributor sector doesn't necessarily follow the raw materials or the purchasing index on a monthly T. If you look at raw material, you would think because of scrap prices being historically low that the price of material would be going another direction, and it's not. So having specific fastener distributor-related information, I think, is important, and that's what we're trying to get out.
Yeah, it's definitely fastener specific. The other number that we used to look at is the BMI, I'm saying that backwards, the MBI, the Metalworking Business Index. And that index I looked at for all of 2014, and it's been relatively flat, maybe even a slight decrease over the last 4 months. So I don't know what that really says, if that's a good match. I know our previous analysts like to look at that, Holden Lewis, but it seems to me that that's fairly flat, and it could be that's just in different areas that aren't fastener specific, so maybe it's not a good fit.
In terms of metalworking, there are industries that probably play a larger role in that number than
foundries
the
and stuff like
subset
that.
of fasteners, correct.
Right.
Fasteners would be just such a small subset that
Right.
it probably doesn't move the number all that much.
Right. So maybe going forward we'll drop that one, but I thought we'd just throw that in there since we had looked at it before in past analysis. Now, in the NFDA's involvement, I know you guys are fastener distributors, so you guys aren't financial analysts or number crunchers in that. Are you guys using somebody services to do that for you?
We have partnered with somebody that we've really dealt with for a long time. The Profit Planning Group with Al Bates and Brian Rickle. They've been an integral part of our economic outlooks. They've been part of our profit and compensation survey. So we're using their groups to evaluate and analyze the data, somewhat similar to Holden Lewis at BB&T. But we wanted to make certain that the information is consistent. We want to make certain that the information that's received is completely confidential, like all the other surveys that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the right group to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense to have a professional who does that if they're doing other stuff for you and other analysis with numbers and that. That's a good idea to use somebody like that.
Well, we're also hoping that given that they evaluate the other areas of the fastener business, they may be able to take some of that expertise and information and hopefully tie it into the distributors index to provide better numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. So good. I'm glad that we're back to having FDI reporting and that you guys are involved. It makes a lot of sense, and I'm looking forward to us talking about this in the future. But before I let you go, what can you tell the audience about Copper State Bolt and Nut?
Well, Copper State is a fastener distributor and manufacturer located in the Southwest. We've got over 20 locations and been a member of the NFDA almost since the inception. 20
locations. So how many employees do you guys have?
Just over about 450, and continuing to grow. And hopefully this fastener distribution index trend continues on the path, and we'll have more locations and more employees and be able to support more families that are part of the Copper State family.
Yeah, well, it's all about fasteners, right?
It is.
Okay. Well, good. Well, Paul, thanks for joining us today on the Fastener News Report, and look forward to talking to you about this in the future.
All right, thank you.
That was NFDA President Paul Tiffany of Copper State Bolt and Nut. And if you want to participate in the FDI survey, you can visit the website www.fdisurvey.com to get involved in filling out these confidential forms that will help us in collecting this data and providing good information to the Fastener Distributor segment. Next up, today's Fastener Newsmaker headlines. Last month, Willard Overton notified the Fastenal Board of Directors that he will resign from his CEO position on December 31st, 2014. In connection with this action, the board elected Leland Hine Jr. as CEO effective January 1st, 2015, in addition to his current role as Fastenal president. Hine is 53 years old, and he joined the company in 1985. He has served as general manager, district manager, regional vice president, executive vice president sales, and most recently, president of the company. Overton is 56 years old, and he will continue to serve as chairman of the board. He will continue to maintain an office at Fastenal. He will continue to be involved in strategic planning and performance measurements, and he will serve as a mentor to Leland Hine. Falcon Fastening Systems, a distributor of fasteners and other Class C production components used in manufacturing assembly operations, has added Terry Crunk as account manager for its Louisville, Kentucky office. Engineered fastener distributor Sherrick's Fastening Solutions of Tonawanda, New York, has officially opened a new manufacturing plant in Akron, Ohio. This is Sherrick's first U.S. manufacturing plant, and the 24,000 square foot facility will be used to make lined rivet nuts and specialty machine products. The Bassard Group in Switzerland has signed a contract to acquire Aerospace Southwest, a Phoenix, Arizona-based supplier of fastening components. Aerospace Southwest employs 65 people, and it recorded $43 million in sales in 2013. And our top Fastener Newsmaker headline is that HD Supply and the Home Depot have entered into an agreement for the Home Depot to purchase substantially all of the assets of HD Supply Hardware Solutions, formerly known as Crown Bolt, a leading supplier of fasteners and builders hardware for retail distribution in the United States. Terms of the deal were not disclosed, but it is expected to be finalized by the end of fiscal year 2014. HD Supply Hardware Solutions and the Home Depot have a long-standing and natural partnership. The Home Depot is Hardware Solutions' largest customer, and it accounts for 98% of its annual sales. HD Supply Hardware Solutions was the Home Depot's 2013 Hardware Vendor of the Year. Finally, let's turn to the back page to discuss the outlook for 2015 and beyond. Based on everything that I saw and heard in Las Vegas and what I am reading from market analysts, 2015 will be a good year for the fastener industry. On a global scale, the Fredonia Group is reporting that worldwide demand for industrial fasteners is forecast to climb 5.4% annually through the year 2018 to reach a total market size of $94 billion. This is a major acceleration from the sluggish 1.9% growth pace recorded from 2008 through 2013. Demand for vehicles, machinery, and construction are leading the way in driving the increases, and product prices are expected to rise at higher levels than in the past 6 years. Asia will see about 6% fastener demand growth annually, while North America will post a more modest but robust 4% per year. Looking at industrial activity in general, Kiplinger is reporting that American manufacturing as a whole will be good next year. After a 10-year slide in the share of GDP, Manufacturing has leveled off at 12% of the U.S. economy, and growth is very strong in several individual sectors, including construction at plus 6%, appliances at 7% increase, heavy trucks at plus 9%, and ships and barges expected to rise by 7% per year. Automotive and aerospace will stay healthy, as will communications and medical equipment. Cheap energy will also provide a substantial boost to the USA economy. Maybe America is not ready to give up on making things after all. This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International, bringing you the Fastener News Report. Remember to send your news, pictures, comments, corrections, or complaints to me at mcnulty@fastenertech.com.
Next, we're going to wander the backcountry roads of the fastener industry with industry pundit Rob Lucas. It's Fully Threaded. When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stelfast. Since 1976, Stelfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stelfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stelfast today through our website at www.stelfast.com and put us to work for you. Stelfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
For a selection of hundreds of thousands of fasteners, check out your local Fastenal store or fastenal.com. We can stock domestic or internationally sourced product locally and keep your bin stock filled for you at no additional expense. We are a 9001-2008 certified company that's made a huge investment in quality control so you don't have to. And if you can't find it on our shelf, we can make it for you at the quantity you need at one of our many manufacturing facilities. Learn more by contacting your local Fastenal store or visiting fastenal.com today.
ND Industries has been solving customers' toughest problems through innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service since 1955. A family-owned business, ND Industries manufactures and applies fastener locking, bonding, sealing, masking, and assembling products. Their pre-application process makes fasteners ready to use at the point of assembly, resulting in reduced labor costs, time savings, and superior quality assurance. As a fully integrated company, ND handles all aspects of operations from formulating custom chemical compounds and coating fasteners to providing inline inspection, packaging, and delivery services. ND Industries serves the global market with 13 divisions in the continental U.S. and also facilities in Taiwan, China, and Turkey. Learn more about ND Industries at our website at www.ndindustries.com. ND Industries, innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service. Contact ND today.
This is Jason Sandifer with Global Fastener News, the leading news source in the fastener industry. Check us out online at globalfastenernews.com. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric back with you, feeling, I would say, moderately jolly. How about you, Brian?
Yeah, only so-fo, okay? I'm ramping up for the ho-ho-ho thing.
Well, depending on when you're listening to this podcast, we're recording around the holidays, and it's a mixed bag out there, all things considered. But on the bright side, we've got a guy joining us right now who hasn't been on the show for quite a while, and he's always got a few jolly things to say. He is of Fidelis Fasteners, Mr. Rob Lucas. Hey, Rob, welcome back to Fully Threaded.
Howdy, fellas. Happy holidays.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Merry Christmas. Oh, it's not politically correct.
That's right. I'm trying to be more PC.
Thank God you're trying to be politically correct. I was always worried that you didn't pay much attention to that, okay?
There's not enough of that going around, so
I can tell.
Well, you're on the wrong show for that sort of thing anyway. What are you seeing out there in the market these days? You are a guy who gets around, and you got the ear of a lot of people, and you listen to a lot of people. And what's the headline from your perspective?
Oh, the headline, I guess, would be the longshoreman's issue on the West Coast would be the biggest news, and I'm sure everyone knows about that. But it looks to me like it's going to be somewhat of a headache for a little longer. Hopefully they'll get it wrapped up and put this thing to bed, but in the meantime, it's going to cause some people some pain.
What have they got to do to wrap it up and put it to bed?
They got to get a contract signed. They've been working without a contract, I believe, since July or June, and they haven't had one yet, so now they've basically went on some type of a partial strike, you want to call it. There's been some walk-offs, but it's a slowdown in labor force, so it's caused a lot of vessels to get locked up, and that's even caused some rail yards to stop flowing, Oakland specifically.
Oh, okay.
So this will be a headache for a while. As ships come in and they sit in the dock, your parts are kind of in limbo, and people think it's just fasteners. Well, everybody that brings stuff into the country is in the same boat, so fasteners are probably a very, very small percentage.
Right.
So but it's going to be a toys. Thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's probably over. The big box stores have probably got most of their inventory already in for the holidays.
Okay.
But they did it at a really, this is a strategic time for them to demand higher pay in a contract because you're talking about the end of the year. Yep. What happens right after this? Chinese New Year, which is another big freight issue for people. So they've picked in my opinion, a pretty opportune time for them to try to strike a deal for what they're demanding. We're just kind of held hostage by it. There's not much you can do.
Funny how they do that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence.
Yeah. Well, it used to always be in New Zealand and Australia that either I think it was always over like Christmas when people were flying backwards and forwards between each country. Either the New Zealand Airways or the Australian Airways used to always go on strike, and so there was always this panic of mothers and tears at airports, in front of the news media because they couldn't get to see their kids or something, and so the government would have to step in and force them to settle it. And they knew it every single time. It was always the same. And Australia was worst at it. It was terrible.
Well, we haven't seen our government step in yet. I don't know if union busting is going to be on the Obama agenda, but something needs to be done about it. I'm not sure what that's going to be and when it's going to be.
Right. Well, in the settlements in New Zealand and Australia were never union busting. They were always forcing the whatever was the companies to agree. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, well, we could easily take this conversation down a road of media manipulation and government intervention and so forth, but we're going to avoid that.
Right. So step away. We'll come back to United States. Okay?
Exactly. And we were talking actually on the last episode with a couple of the guys from Vertex, and they were also pointing out some of the hardships that are being experienced by the fastener industry due to the strikes on the West Coast and some of the strategies that certain companies are trying to employ. Aside from that issue, Rob, what are you seeing that is striking your notice? What about pricing? What are you seeing in pricing or possibly availability these days? Is this having a direct impact on that, or?
Well, not yet. I mean, people are still buying parts, in a different way than they have been, but they're still buying parts. And I think the only other piece of news of interest would be that that EPA issue in Taiwan with the platers has caused some plating pricing to go up. Materials stayed flat, but because the EPA has shut down some facilities over there because they were doing some illegal dumping, there's been a pretty robust increase in some plating, and that's fully out of Taiwan, and that's caused some pains. But that's been going on. That's not new. It's been going on for a few months. I'm sure everybody's aware of it. I don't know when the end of that's going to come either.
Now that has caused. I mean, we discussed this with Simi a month or so ago, and I was commenting on the fact that what we've seen is a significant increase in searches for bolts. Okay, all sorts of bolts. And she said, well, it's because of this, what's going on in Taiwan, and one other reason for it. And she said it would continue for a while. I noticed this is still the same with us. So bolts are running, searches and inquiries and requests for bolts are running at about 20% higher than normal.
Now you're talking about through the FCH sourcing network, right?
Right. Yeah. So do you see the same reasons? Why is this happening?
I don't know if that's if they're directly tied to each other. There probably is some percentage of people looking for those because they can't get them or can't get them in a timely fashion because of the Taiwan issue. But I think another part of it may be just that people are not looking to buy a container's worth of parts or half a container's worth of parts. They're looking for something that's a fill-in, and they're looking on the FCH site to see if there's an availability of a part they need.
Why would it change though? That's what I'm after. We've kept statistics for a long time, and when you see something change by 20-30% in a month and stay changed, then you think something happened. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the time of the year. I mean, there's you got a whole lot of factors here. People are, Eric and I had talked about something, privately on the phone a while back about how people have changed the way they buy. This may be a part of that.
Okay, so expand on that then.
Yeah, why don't you go into that a little bit, Rob? Because that was a pretty interesting dissertation that you gave me on that, and basically you started off by saying the way people buy fasteners has changed, and it seems to be continuing to change. And so, why is that, and how is it happening?
Well, I think that everybody who's doing it or been in the business for a period of time sees it. Things are different now than they were 5-10 years ago. It used to be that people would buy based off of their demand. You got a customer who needs 1 million pieces. You buy 1 million pieces. You might even buy 1.5 million. Now it's more of, in my opinion, it's more of a focus on turns. Distributors and end users are trying to minimize the amount of inventory that they're holding. That burden to them, they're trying to find ways to offset it. So they're kind of, they're looking at ways to buy things that are easier to turn, less of a risk for them in the event that, I don't know, their customer goes out of business or stops buying that particular part. They don't have to hold the excess inventory, or they just don't want to have it on their shelves, period. But that is clearly something that's gone on, and I would say it's just changed dramatically in the last 5 years. Now you get people who know their demand's 1 million pieces, they're only buying 500,000, or they're buying a quarter's worth at a time, and you can, just based off of how I get quotes and how I get orders, I can see repeat orders coming in for the same part, and you can automatically pick it up and either talk to the customer or just assess it, that they're working on turns and they're not working off of, in a sense, best cost, because obviously the more volume you buy, the more benefit you get. But I think people are saying that benefit isn't as important to me as maybe a turn is, or maybe the risk of holding inventory. Now compound all that with, e-commerce. And, I think BBI has really driven e-commerce recently with their website, which is really, really a great tool. But for the old school guys who have been around, there is a piece of it that is lacking. And that's when I was talking to Eric about how the world has changed in their buying. That's a really good example. It used to be you'd call some human at a phone at some location and say, hey, I'm looking for a quarter 20 by 2 hex cap screw zinc clear. And they would, tell you, look in their inventory and see if they had it. And now people go onto a website and they have a list of parts they want. They go onto the commerce site. They look for that part. If it's not there, they move on to the next one. Now, while that's great, I think there's an inherent problem with that, because when you spoke to a human and you said, hey, I'm looking for that quarter 20 by 2 zinc clear, they may have said to you, you know what, we don't have that, but we've got a zinc yellow, or we've got a 2 1/4. We've got an alternative for you that they might be able to immediately get that sale, or maybe immediately be able to supply somebody's need demand, because it didn't have to be an exact fit, or they could do a replay. So I think that when you get into that scenario of e-commerce, it almost forces distributors to carry more SKUs, because if people are going to do something online, then they're looking for an exact. If they don't have the exact, they'll move on. So you're almost forced to carry more SKUs than you possibly could imagine, just to make sure that you don't miss somebody who has a demand, because if not, they'll jump ship to somebody else. Now, compound all that again with freight. There's freight advantages to buying from master importers and master distributors, because if you buy X amount of weight, your freight is free to you. That may cause some problems if you're doing it kind of online.
Okay.
You mentioned that BBI's e-commerce is really had a major impact in the industry, and you could make the argument that that was probably one of the reasons that they were able to take Porteous out of the game. I guess that's debatable, but I think certain people would have that feeling. Do you have any observations on what's happened subsequent to Porteous leaving the market? I mean, is there a major shift? Do you think that BBI got what they were expecting? I mean, what are you hearing out there?
I don't know the answer to that. I think, there are less places to go to seek a quote. And that was a big argument or a big complaint that people had 2 years ago in Vegas when the announcement was out that BBI had bought Porteous. Hey, they're taking away another one of our options to buy. And, there's two sides to that story. One is, hey, they're all buying from the same place, so you're saving yourself a phone call. But there's still that, it used to be you had 10, 15 places, 10, 15 years ago where you could call to get, a quote. Now it's really 2 or 3, you're looking at. I mean, there's ancillary guys on the outskirts of things, but the big guys, the ones that have the tried and true standard fasteners, there's 2 or 3 phone calls or 2 or 3 quotes they're going to make. That changes the game a little bit. I think that's probably good for BBI. I think they're attacking it in the way they wanted to attack it, and I think that they've gotten what they wanted to get out of it. I don't think it was easy. I don't think that buying Porteous was an easy task. I don't think blending those two companies was an easy task. But I certainly think that because they did it, they put themselves in a better position because they've learned how to do something that's very difficult. Where that takes them next, I don't know. You can say you disagree with it, and there's a lot of things about BBI that I go, I don't understand it. It doesn't mean that I don't agree with it. I just don't understand it. There's things that I don't agree with that BBI does, but it's pretty hard to argue with them the way that they've came to market. I don't know where it's going to go, but it's certainly changing the way that everybody looks at this business, and that's really what you and I were talking about, Eric. It's a completely different environment, landscape today than it was even 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, but one of those things is the fact that there's probably some movement within some of the fastener companies, but the fact is that the web has become a place where people do business, whereas we used to make jokes about the Joe Average in the fastener industry who used to go to bed at night praying that he'd wake up and find the web had collapsed. Okay. I mean, look, I'll tell you that. So there's a difference in mentality. I mean, that's helped this whole thing with BBI, because 5 years ago, it didn't matter if it was the only game in town, that people would still never have gone online in their droves to buy anything from BBI. It didn't matter how good the website was. They wouldn't.
I don't necessarily know if that's. I understand what you're saying, and I think there's a part of that that's truthful, but the other part of it is too. Back in the past, nobody had everything. You had for example, Heads and Porteous. Heads was really dominant on the East Coast, east of the Mississippi, and Porteous was dominant west of the Mississippi, and they had some differences in their product categories. Structural bolts were probably more advantageous towards Porteous than they were towards HTI, and tapping screws were the opposite. So there were reasons and means why you had to not put all your eggs in one basket. But the basket has gotten much, much smaller. No one can argue that. I mean, you don't even have the option of looking in multiple baskets like you had in the past. You almost are forced to kind of take what's in front of you.
Well, let me ask you this, Rob Lucas. Do you see companies creeping in and filling niche areas that were possibly strengths of companies that are no longer around? I mean, it seems like a vacuum always invites a new competitor. That was what Ron Sackheim told us some months back when we were talking with him on the program. Do you see evidence of other companies creeping in and kind of taking these little niche markets?
Absolutely. I mean, look at the people that are still around that have weathered the storm. that have brick and mortar in the States. There's a lot of niche players out there who haven't gone away, who've probably had some margin erosion, but they've also had to adapt and pick up different product lines and do new things. And there's quite a few of those going on. Do I think that more will come in? That I don't know. My kind of envisionment of the future is you'll see from a distribution standpoint, the bigger get bigger and the small might go away, because really it's hard to survive with the way that pricing is. I mean, we're in a point now where pricing is at its bare bottom. The days of anybody making the kind of money they made 10 years ago on the fastener business is over, and it's probably never coming back. This is now truly a Class C commodity part, and the pricing structure for it is going to be just that. I don't know how you can change it. So I don't know if it's worthwhile for somebody to come in and say, gee, I want to start up a business in this niche market where I'm going to make X amount of money that's not as attractive as I'd like it to be. However, there are going to be some certain elements. Nobody can have all the SKUs, and nobody can have all the parts. So if you find a category of items that you could do well at, and you could service and support the market well at, and you can make a reasonable profit at, I can see that people might take a chance and try to do that. I just don't know if that will come from independence or from organic growth or acquisition.
Yeah, right. Changing the subject a little bit, I know you've got some pretty deep connections over at Fastenal. Obviously, there was some big news, some shakeups at the top of Fastenal recently, but one of the reasons it's been speculated that could have happened is even though their sales have been pretty good year over year, the margins might not be that strong, and that might have contributed to all that. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I wouldn't dare make any real guess, but I can take an educated response that everybody is seeing some type of margin erosion. I don't care who you are. When pricing has gone the way it has, to maintain a business, you have to be competitive. And if the pricing is going to drop, you're going to have to drop with it. Again, that goes back to the days of the margin we all knew are gone. And you have to adjust it. So I would imagine that part of what you said is true, that they've had some problem with profits. I don't know if it's big or small, and I wouldn't dare to make a guess because I don't know it that well. But they're as vulnerable as anybody else in this market, or as strong.
Right. Well, that's all public information because, of course, they are a publicly traded company. It'll be good to get some more information, and we have some good friends over at Fastenal, too. I don't know if they're necessarily ready to discuss it with us.
Right.
But I don't think anybody's going to be.
Right.
We're big fans, so.
Right. I want to ask you just one quick question, Robin. You said, well, it's here to stay. The reality is that under the law of supply and demand, if the prices are going down, the only way to make them go up is to control the supply. If you have the entire supply, you can really force the prices any way you want to.
I think that's what everybody thinks that BBI was trying to do, or maybe still is trying to do. If you control market share, you can direct and demand where the pricing goes to.
Right. That's the only way you can do it. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I don't think they're there yet. But the reality of it is, every company has to make money. It's not a hobby. People have to make money in order to maintain what they're doing.
Yep. Is that what it's about?
Oh, no wonder I haven't got a Ferrari yet.
Man,
I missed that part of the equation.
I'm glad we had you on the show today, Rob.
Actually, Rob, I must say one thing. When we, you were right in many ways that the things in the industry have changed. And one of them is this ability for people to feel sort of comfortable buying and looking for things on the web. When Eric and I started this business off, it's like 7 years, 8 years, something like that, we had two different letters that both were significant and made us sit down and think, shit. And one of them came from a guy in California who wrote us what we called was the Titanic letter, okay, who said to us that we were on a completely lost cause, that no one was ever going to buy fasteners on the web, and he certainly was one of them. And he said, one day in the long distant future it might actually work, but until then I'm never going to be involved in anything that involves the web.
And I'm going down with the ship.
Yeah, and he says, I liken myself to one of the people in the band on the Titanic that went down playing and the ship sank. So we had that on the wall actually for a while. It was the Titanic letter, okay, which was a somber reminder when you start a business up and you think, oh, this is going to be all fine. Someone says, you're never going to make any money, okay? And the other one was from Kevin Higgins, Quality, which I still remember particularly because he sent us a spreadsheet that was like all this gobbledygook of terrible descriptions and shit, and thought that we were going to know exactly what every line was and do them automatically. And I sent him a note back saying, "Oh, can you sort of put this in a little more order and tell me what everything is?" And he sent another email back saying, "Hey, if you can't handle a spreadsheet like this, you need to find another business."
Yeah, like good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
But you know the beauty of that, and we got Kevin Higgins in part to thank for that. That was the birth of the scrubber.
Yes, it was actually. So,
well, I'd like to know where I'd like to get a follow-up letter from the Titanic letter and see how he's doing on his life raft now that the boat is sank.
What is he doing now?
Yeah. We should actually do that. That's a great idea.
I mean, think about it. Even Alibaba, is now coming to the States full force, and people were playing with that 10 years ago. E-commerce is coming. There's just no way. There's no way around it. I mean, Amazon has shown you that. People would much rather go to Amazon than go to a shopping mall.
Yeah.
This is the next step. I would venture a guess that if you spoke to anybody at BBI or any place that has an e-commerce site, I would venture to guess that they'll tell you, if they're going to tell you truthfully, that part of their business may not be the greatest part, but I bet it's gone up each year consistently, which means that more and more people are going to use it. And as new generations of fastener people come in, that's what they do.
Yeah,
I'm from a time where you called a person and you did everything. We had Rolodexes, things like that. Now it's all electronic. So there's always naysayers.
Right, and it requires a degree of trust. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily buy online, half a container of bolts from Joe Ma and Pa around the corner, okay? But at least, BBI and other
You'd
big
be
companies.
surprised. You really. I guess I'll end the discussion with, since I've had Fidelis, there isn't anyone that I have seen that has not in one way, shape, or form dabbled overseas themselves. And a majority of those have also dabbled by doing something online. And over the years, I've gotten some great customers out of that because they went and bought something offline, with a Photoshop picture of a factory, and it turned out to be bad, because they did it that way, which made people apprehensive about going down that path.
Yep.
But no one has stopped doing it. They continue to do that, and I gotta believe they'll continue to do it even more in the future.
Yeah, I do too.
You mentioned Fidelis Fasteners. Of course, that is your baby. Why don't you give us the synopsis of what you do throughout your website, and if people want to contact you, how do they do it?
Well, we're still plugging away and doing what we do. I guess the Reader's Digest version of Fidelis is we're an extension of a distributor sourcing arm without them having to pay for my overhead and my unemployment fees and my health care. So I help them to find sources for widgets overseas. It's mainly fasteners, but now I'm into a whole lot of other stuff that's non-fastener related. We help them to find factories direct. They deal with the factories. They can place the orders direct to that factory to build a relationship. I help them to accrue that rapport with the supplier so that they can get costs that are hidden, the soft cost stuff that people don't see, not just the price, it's the terms and the deliveries and the stock for release. That's the kind of stuff that I work on. Yep. And then the other part of it, of course, is I spend a lot of my time overseas, looking for the next proverbial diamond in the rough. And that's a very, very arduous, slow and steady process, but there are a lot of factories over there. There are a lot of good ones. There are also a whole lot of bad ones. And I just try to minimize the risk for my customers in dealing with somebody who, can do something well versus someone who can't do something.
There's also a lot of really crappy food over there, isn't there? I mean, didn't you tell me you went to a bar one time and they served you a beer with like a dish full of ants or something?
A cocoon. some kind of caterpillar cocoon. Yeah, you kind of get used to eating bizarre things. I don't think you ever get used to it, but you certainly understand the culture and it all depends on where you're at.
Yeah, right.
Hey, just another question, Rob. When you in your trips around the East there, I mean, you have to stop into Hong Kong occasionally. What's the impact that you see of all the riots?
The protests?
Yeah.
Well, there isn't really. It's more government related. So it doesn't really affect, from what I do, my accounting and things like that. It doesn't really affect it too much. It's more of a disruption from traffic for the citizens. There's people that are protesting and they have roads shut down and things like that. But
yeah.
I don't think it's impacted much business as it has governmental stuff. That's more of a internal issue for them.
Yeah.
That's that mainland China ROC thing now that they've taken control.
And occasionally you come out and you find they take the windshield wipers off your car, which really sucks.
I was with somebody a long time ago in Hong Kong, and there was a guy walking down the street with a Taiwanese flag over his head. And I thought, what in the heck is this guy doing? And there was a group of, clearly they were some type of a soldier group, just following this guy. I thought, man, I hope he didn't take the wrong turn to an alley.
Oh, brother.
So you see some, more traveling you do, the more you see. It's very strange.
Well, stay safe, and for the folks out there that are interested in that type of service and you want to avoid really bizarre foods and civil unrest and so forth, Rob's a guy that you can contact, and the website is?
FidelisFasteners.com.
What could be easier?
Well, there's a lot that could be easier. Could be just an F. Hey, by the way, a last note, what do you guys think about the big news in China taking over as number one? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I saw the headline, and I think that is bunk. Because if you look at the GDP, I was completely shocked when I saw that, and I think it's going to be a long time, if ever, that China takes us over GDP-wise.
Look,
I agree. This is 70% difference.
Right, this is the truth of the matter. If China was the new shining star in the world, the fact is no one would be buying US dollars. They'll be rushing to buy yuans, okay? The fact that the US dollar is rising against everything else is because it's the only place people can sink their money and not have it fall apart at the moment.
That's exactly right. But China is sure doing a hell of a marketing campaign to try to get...
it's doing a great marketing campaign, but hiding behind it is entire cities that have been built on credit that don't have anyone living in them, okay? I mean, the chickens will come home to roost there one day. Or maybe they'll just get bulldozed or blown up.
Completely agree. I just saw it in the news and went, wow, that made a headline? It's not an accurate number.
I saw it on Drudge, and I was really disappointed in him because that was just completely irresponsible and sensational. And
right, it's what you'd expect on MSNBC or the communist news network, CNN.
But guys, right now I think we're running risk of becoming extremely unjolly.
Sorry.
We should probably wind it up. We've covered some really interesting ground here, as we always do when you join us. Rob Lucas of Fidelis Fasteners, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great holiday, and if you get any tips, you know where to send them.
Yeah.
You guys have a great holiday. Happy holidays, everybody listening. Enjoy yourself and take some time to spend with your families this year.
Yep. Hey, mate. Good to talk to you, okay?
Take care, guys.
Rob Lucas, and we'll be right back with more Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric, your online Fastener Talk Radio brothers in thread. Fully Threaded Radio.
Harry, how's your search for new software going?
We've looked at a lot of systems, some with the same old technology, and others didn't seem like they knew much about what we did or needed. We did look at one company, crazy name though, I think it was InSqueakWell.
You mean INXSQL? That's InSQL. That's what we use. We've become much more efficient, and we've been able to offer our customers more services, which makes us more competitive.
Yeah, Inkswell, that's the one. They seem to be the only company that really understood what fastener distributors do for a living, and I found it easy to use.
Harry, it's InSQL, INXSQL. You don't pronounce the X. We buy a lot from several master distributors, and their direct connect simplifies the whole process. When we need pricing and availability quickly, we just hit the F12 key.
If you don't pronounce the X, why put it in there? A friend told me they get great support from NXQL.
Yes, with InSQL, our experience has been the same. Quality support. They know our business. And the best part is, no extra charges. With our old system, apparently nothing we called about was covered by support.
You know, Inkwell seems to be the right company for us.
They're called InSQL, INXSQL. Go to their website, www.inxsql.com, or call them at 877-446-9775.
My customer sent me a print for a bolt specifically for the machine in his shop, but we can't make it.
Solution Man can. Provide me with a print, and my superhuman CNC machining team will custom make it for you faster than a manufacturer's rep drinking at an open bar. Visit the Solution Industries website for details at solutionind.com.
Wow, that is fast.
So are you at the Distributor Social, huh?
Hi, this is Hugh Hewitt for the Injured Marine Semper Fi Fund, www.semperfifund.org. Over the past 7 years, twice a year, the wonderful people who operate the Semper Fi Fund and many amazing Marines who have been the beneficiaries of the charities that have supported the Semper Fi Fund, including many thousands of individual donors, have come into my radio studio to tell their amazing stories of serving their country, of being wounded, and how the Semper Fi Fund has helped them make that transition back to recovery. Unfortunately, Bethesda and Walter Reed are full again. More and more men and women are coming back from the war injured, sometimes awfully so. We need the Semper Fi Fund to be there for these Marines and those soldiers, sailors, and airmen who served alongside of them. Please consider a gift to the Semper Fi Fund. Very low overhead, extraordinary capacity to get money where it needs to get in a hurry, and great management, including some of the senior Marines who've ever served under the flag. When you're looking for something to do that will make an impact, please check out the Semper Fi Fund. That's www.semperfifund.org, www.semperfifund.org.
This is Pam Berry with Advanced Components. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric back with you, catapulting the fastener industry into the new year and beyond.
We should say dragging the fastener industry kicking and screaming into the 21st century.
Oh, get over it, Brian. We're doing what we can. There's a lot of companies have come a long way in the last several years. You know, it's good to see.
Okay.
And it was great to hear from Rob Lucas. It's been a long time without him commenting on the podcast, and it's always again interesting to hear his perspective on things. You know, as he was saying, they're still having lots of troubles with shipments coming in from the West Coast, and I've got it on. Actually, from several people that there are still a lot of problems. I mean, getting things here to the Midwest even that are coming across the water, it's just fraught with problems and delays, and wow.
Well, I mean, the thing is, we discussed this with Simi really quite a while ago. We detected interesting changes in patterns. I mean, we monitor an FCH, we monitor the searches, we monitor drill downs, we can tell what the percentage drill downs and machine screws versus, self-tapping screws, and structural bolts versus, carriage bolts. And we noticed a while ago a distinct change in the percentage of drill downs and searches for bolts. And that stayed really high. So I guess it reflected in our figures too. If you got something locked up in a port in Los Angeles, then you've got to find other ways of getting it.
Right. Well, it's caused a lot of headache for a lot of companies. Fortunately, most of the master distributors are taking good care of their customers. And, you can always get on FCH if you're in a real pickle, waiting on something sitting on the water. Get out there to fastenersclearinghouse.com. Chances are someone has what you're waiting on, and they can help you to fill in the void, at least temporarily.
You could also say, actually, it's most likely someone has, actually.
Yeah. And I tell you, we got another event coming up that may actually add a little more pain to this whole situation, too, and that's the Chinese New Year. And this year, Chinese New Year happens on February 19th, but, depending on who you talk to, it's anywhere between a 1 week to a 3 week long festival.
Right.
And that never is all that positive for people waiting on things from Asia to get here.
Yeah, I think Rob Lucas has discussed this in years past. I mean, because our interviews with Rob go back 4 years, actually, aren't they?
Right. Well, I mean, everybody in the industry realizes this, and I mean, this should probably go into the seasonal adjustment of FDI.
Oh yeah, because I remember him telling us that it's such a big holiday that many people use it as their chance to leave work and go and look for another job, so they go home and never come back. So it's a big disruption.
Right. Now this year, for those of you interested in the Chinese zodiac, it's the year of the goat. And now that's according to Wikipedia. As I researched this a little closer, depending on where you are, it either could be the goat, sheep, or ram. But according to my mother, who's the big animal nut, she says, well, they're all kind of in the same phylum, so it really doesn't matter. But year of the goat, I'm going to call it 2015.
Okay, thank you. All I know is that I'm a rat in the Chinese thing. earth calendars, which I don't like particularly, but still.
I'm a snake. Watch out, I might bite you. And one of my very close associates is a dragon, so...
Oh.
But her breath is always quite sweet, so it's not that kind of a dragon.
Okay. You're biased.
Oh, yes. Well, thanks to Rob Lucas for getting with us and sharing his insights. Always good to hear from you, Mr. Lucas. Also from ND Industries, Jim Barr. And as always, Mike McNulty with the Fastener News Report. Today he was joined by Paul Tiffany, president of the NFDA. Thanks to y'all. Also, thanks to all of the supporters of Fully Threaded Radio. Our title sponsors today were Stellfast. Stellfast, for service you deserve and people you trust. Trinity Hardware Headquarters. Trinity, for parts done right. And our new title sponsor, Lindstrom Metric. Lindstrom, by any measure. Also sponsoring Fully Threaded today were Buckeye Fasteners, Volt Industrial Plastics, InSequel Software, Fastenal, ND Industries, Fastener Technology International Magazine, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man. What a great lineup, Brian.
Yes.
And next episode, we've got yet another sponsor to add on, and I think we're going to kind of hold the line there in interests of not oversaturating the podcast. But, boy, we do appreciate each and every one of our sponsors, and you make this happen, and you're going to support some of the big changes that all of our listeners are going to hear coming during the coming year. Thank you all.
Right. And, you know, it actually takes time to produce this, much more time for Eric than it does for me. But, it's time you have to take away from your ordinary main job. So it's very well worthwhile when you get sponsors to help you cover those costs, okay?
Well, we hope we're helping this fastener industry along, and so far the feedback seems to indicate that. Now, if you want to give us some feedback that supports that, or to the contrary, we're ready to take it. Our email address is ftr@fullythreaded.com. You can also get with us on Twitter under the handle fullythreaded. And, of course, if you ever want to get with us regarding FCH, please do. We can be contacted through our website, which is www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. See you out there any of those ways.
Fasteners with an S, okay.
And the S stands for sheep.
Or scrubber.
Different phylums altogether.
Or stellar performance, okay.
Well, before we rev up the General Lee and get the heck out of here, Bri, people were wondering why the theme of country boys, and we keep alluding to this and everything. Well, the upshot of it is this, that I have made a move from the Chicago area to kind of a remote area outside of Cleveland. And it's near a town called Ravenna. It's near another town called Streetsboro, but I've got a wonderful view of a farm pasture out back. And every morning when I get in the truck and I head to the gym, I swear to God, I think Boss Hogg and Roscoe P. Coltrane are about to get in their car and follow me. And you and I spent a couple days out here around New Year's and explored the area, and it's a big change for me, let me tell you.
Yes, it is. Actually, it's, for me, little I know, it's sort of very reminiscent of my knowledge of New England, actually.
I thought you were going to say it reminded you of your original birthplace and growing up site, which was out there in New Zealand, because you grew up on a farm, which actually I would call it a ranch. But
no, yeah, I did. I grew up on a farm, but our farms didn't look like farms in America, though. Okay, they looked different. We didn't have to store grain or anything like that because it was stuff grew all year round. So the farms just look different. And it's different. This is New England's different in that it's more like real England, and there's little towns, very small towns all over the place. Whereas, where I live in New Zealand, there were towns, but they were 20 or 30 miles apart.
And they didn't have quite as many hobbits walking around either.
You didn't have the hobbits. Now, I had hobbits because I had hobbits living where I played rugby as a 8-year-old kid, okay? That was where the hobbits lived.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, that explains a lot.
Including the people who were sitting near me in the theater when I watched it. I said, I know where that is.
Well, in any event, that is kind of what's going on with FCH in our world, and we're making the adjustments that we need to make, and we're looking forward to becoming even more involved with the North Coast Fastener Association. And, of course, our home association is the Midwest Fastener Association, which we've been affiliated with for many years. But, hey, folks, we're going to wind episode 89 down. Again, wishing you a great 2015. Thank you all for listening. And, Brian, I think we're going to put this one in the can. Is that what we do out here in the country, or do we put it in the silo?
No, we'll do it in the can, okay?
You got it.
Right. So catch up with you next time, folks, okay?
For Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. Thank you all for listening. Get out there and sell some screws, and we will talk to you next time.
Yes.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fasteners Clearinghouse. Music provided by Audionautics.
Oops.